Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more relationship stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. But let's crack on with today's first story. And before we do jump into the story, I just want to give you a couple of warnings as well. This story does have reproductive coercion and attempted assault. And the title in itself is just bloody wild. It's from a throwaway account and it's titled, Fiance tried to cut my implant out while I slept. Throwaway account because I don't want this attached to my regular account. Anyways, I, 25 female, have a 2-year-old son from a previous relationship. After I gave birth, I was asked about birth control. I said yes please, and I now have a next planning. Hope the pronunciation was good enough there. A birth control that gets inserted into your upper arm. I was told it lasts 3 years. Cut to now. My fiance, 27 male, told me he wants a baby. I said I did too, just not now, and that I'd get my next planning out after 3 years are up and I won't replace it. This wasn't soon enough for him. He wanted me pregnant now. I stood firm and said I'm not ready to have another baby. I want to be a little more stable money-wise and in general. Fiance was mad and we got into a big argument. I brought up my son and told him my son needs him as a father figure, that we already have a child to take care of while my birth control runs its course. All of a sudden, he started shouting at me, saying he wants a baby that's biologically his and that every time he looks at my son, he gets angry. I asked him why and he told me it's because he sees my ex in my son. My son looks a lot like his father. He then went to tell me he doesn't feel like a parental figure to my son. He has no personal attachment to him. He says it's because my son isn't biologically his and he resents us for this. Hence the baby talk. He wanted my arm implant out immediately. I said no way. I'm not ready for another baby yet. We continue to argue about this until I'm finally tired and frustrated, so I say I'm done arguing and just head into our bedroom. An important fact to know is that I take medication to sleep. A pretty strong medication with a high dosage. It knocks me flat on my ass. The Sandman comes and slaps me across the face, so I'm down for the count. After the argument, I take my pills and go to bed. My fiance was still in the living room when I fell into a deep sleep. Now, another important fact. My fiance knows where my implant is. He's felt it under my skin, and it's very noticeable when you're feeling around for it. I'm sleeping when I stir slightly awake after I felt fingers on my upper arm, prodding. With my eyes still shut, I tell my fiance to stop poking me. I assumed he was just being petty and childish because of the fight. He doesn't stop, and not 5 seconds after poking me, he presses down in the exact spot my next planning is, and at this point I'm starting to get more alert and annoyed. I just wanted to sleep and I can't do that when I'm being jabbed. I open my eyes to see what the hell he's doing and ask why his fingers is pressing directly on my next planning. The minute I open my eyes, I notice an object in his free hand, a box cutter, which was very close to my upper arm. Now I'm on full alert and I ask him what the fuck he's doing. He immediately looks guilty and tries to throw excuses at me. I'm just trying to scare you. I was checking to make sure you were alive and it's a coincidence I'm holding the box cutter. I called bullshit on every excuse and said I wanted the truth. He looked down and told me he was doing me a favor. What favor? Glad you asked. He was going to remove the next planning from my arm. He said he studied how to do it and he's confident he can safely remove it. He said we can start expanding our family now. No need to wait 8 months. I am livid. I immediately shout at him to get the fuck away from me and don't touch me. He tries to talk to me, but I kept yelling he needs to leave. He can't stay at our house right now because he admitted he was trying to cut into my arm, thus breaking my trust. Finally, he walked out of the bedroom and a minute later, I heard the front door open and close. It's been 3 hours and he still hasn't come back and I don't know what to do when he does. I don't know where we go from here. I love this man dearly, but I don't think I can forgive and forget this. I don't know what to do. Advice, please. Now I got to say, you had me at the second or first paragraph that this isn't a relationship that's going to last. He gets angry when he looks at your child because he sees your ex in him. And it's one of those situations that you immediately need to get your son out of there for your own safety. And obviously OP's already done something because we have an update to this post in a moment. But it had me thinking, what was his end game in this? I know he obviously wants another baby and to get her pregnant and stuff like that, but to be trying cutting her arm while she's sleeping, she's going to wake up with a massive ass cut on her arm, I guess, and just think that she isn't going to notice it. Massively unhinged behavior, and one that you need to get out of immediately. But we'll start off with Moggy Man, who says, Jesus Christ, OP, pack, leave, but for the love of God, just go. I've read some red flags on Reddit in my time, but this, holy shit. Passionate Pumpkin says, are you serious? First he tells you he gets angry every time he looks at your son and resents your two. Then you wake up with him trying to open you up with a box cutter. That's not breaking your trust, that's being a dangerous psycho. Escape to family and friends and file a police report. If it's your house, change the locks. If it's his, move out. It's not safe to be there. Usual Roll says, even if you give in and he gets his biological child, how will he treat your son? Did he even tell you that he gets angry just looking at them before? What he did was not just a little stupid, but a major red flag. He has issues, and I doubt a kid of his own would be the cure. If I was you, I wouldn't let him near my kid or myself again, at least not without another person present who could intervene if necessary. Redheaded says, for fuck's sake, run as fast as you can. He admitted he's resenting you and your son, and he tried to assault you, not even mentioning the fact he tried to take your bodily autonomy away from you by getting you pregnant when you weren't ready for it because he wants a kid now. Please pack a bag for yourself and your son and go to a friend's place or your parents if this is an option. I don't think you are safe anymore. Spartan says you genuinely don't know what to do. If not, you've got a lot of work ahead. Here's what you do initially. Call the police and get this on record. Get a restraining order in place ASAP. Is he on the lease? You've either got to get your locks changed today or you need to discuss with the police and get a referral to social services to get you and your child to a shelter. 4. Figure out your living situation moving forward. Good luck. When someone in the future rages like that about seeing your ex and your son, call the cops and rent a U-Haul. You've got a deranged person you need to get away from immediately. OP then edited their post which says, I called my mother and said, can I stay with her? So I'm taking my son and leaving. I can't respond to every comment, but just for a few quick questions. He's never acted like this before. He's always been so gentle and kind to me and my son. The argument and then the box cutter is completely new. During the fight, I hoped he was just in the heat of the moment and saying shit he doesn't mean because he's angry. I was hoping, naively, that he'd be back to the sweet/kind the next morning. I apologized for the hurtful comments and trying to overstep my boundaries. I honestly didn't think he'd come at me with a box cutter. A lot of people are saying I should already know what to do, so I guess my I don't know what to do should really be phrased, has anyone had anything remotely similar to this happen to them? I guess I might have also wanted reassurance that leaving is the best thing to do instead of wanting him to come home and trying to talk it out. I love this guy deeply, and it's just hard for me to put both pieces of the puzzle together. The sweet guy I knew and the awful guy I saw tonight. OP then did a full update which says essentially my now ex-fiance did a complete 180 personality-wise. Was so sweet and loving to both me and my son until we fought about having another baby last night. He said horrible things and I was tired of fighting, so I took my trazodone and went to bed. Woke up to him touching my arm implant birth control with a box cutter in his hand. Said he was doing me a favor, but I screamed at him to leave. I ended up leaving last night with my son to stay at my mum's. I was confused, shocked, hurt, scared. I still am. At 7 in the morning, my phone started buzzing like crazy. Texts, calls, voicemails, all were from him, asking me where I went and when I was coming home. I didn't respond. I just don't even want to look at him or to talk to him again. He called my mum while we were both sitting in the kitchen discussing everything. She asked me if I wanted her to answer it. I said I just didn't want to talk to him. My mum ended up answering and my ex was yelling, sounding panicky. He said I left with my son last night out of the blue and he's worried. No mention of our fight. He asked when my mum last heard from me and she lied and said last night. He made a noise over the phone like an angry sigh and said he was going to keep searching for me, that he's worried something bad has or will happen to me and my son. When my mum hung up, she pulled me into a hug. I guess I had started crying and didn't realize it. She was still hugging me when she asked how I wanted to proceed. If I was done with him for good. I said I was and she nodded and told me first thing was to go to the police, like a lot of you said. I didn't have any proof about the box cutter situation. It would come down to my word versus his. If he had even nicked me a little, I'd have a case against him, but since he technically didn't hurt me, the detective said he's seen cases similar to mine thrown out. The officer did bring up my ex parte and suggested I get one for both me and my son immediately. I went to the courthouse to get the paperwork filled out. I had to detail as much as I could remember from last night. Every word and action. My mum helped me and we got them turned in and moved on to the next step, calling my landlord. I've been living in the same house for 2 years. The first year was a lease and now I pay month to month. Everything is in my name and most of the furniture is mine. I told my landlord what was briefly going on and I was putting in my 30-day notice. My mum has a guest room that she's insisting I stay in. After getting off the phone with him, I called the utilities and closed my accounts: water, electric, gas, internet. Next, my mother asked me what I wanted to do about my belongings. I told her I don't want to leave anything that's mine. All important papers, knickknacks, clothes, furniture, all of it. I just didn't know where to put it, so my mum suggested a storage unit. Once that was decided, we had to figure out when to start the move. Mum ended up calling my 2 brothers and they both agreed to help me move. Just give them a date and time. I told them definitely sometime this week and my eldest brother suggested a police presence just in case. I think it's called a civil standby. I don't know, but I agreed. By this point it's getting late in the day and I'm as drained as I can get. I just wanted to curl up with my son and try to sort my thoughts out and calm down. The county clerk ended up calling me, telling me that the judge granted my ex parte. She told me that I needed to come pick up paperwork, which had the court date on it. She also mentioned ex-fiance would soon be served and told me I don't have to see him again until we go to court. To make the ex partes into permanent restraining orders, she suggested lawyering up, but I'm officially burnt out on today. I'll look into lawyers tomorrow, but tonight, after this update, is a cuddle in bed with my son night. A couple of things I've seen repeated. Why didn't I leave right when my ex started saying those awful things about my son? I honestly thought he didn't mean them. He's told my son he loves him before. Part of it was also shock, I guess. I couldn't believe what I was hearing and that I was hearing it from someone who I wanted to spend the rest of my life with. I didn't think he truly had hatred in his heart and it never crossed my mind that he would hurt me or my son. He's never even spanked my son. I just thought we needed a cooling off period, so I removed myself from the situation to take my meds and sleep, naively thinking it would be better in the morning. People also questioned why I would even bother sticking around to try and talk things out, and that's a valid question that I don't have a rational answer to. Part of me thought I was dreaming, I think, and the other part is the side of me that thinks everything equates to being my fault. Like I was too mean during the fight, too stubborn to see things his way and trying to understand his feelings. I don't know. It's late. Everything feels surreal, and I have this pit in my stomach that feels like dread. What if X shows up at my mum's house? I still haven't returned his messages or phone calls, and now he legally can't contact me anyway. I had 2 of my best friends call, saying X called them. My younger brother, who I guess has always hated X, but I didn't know that until today, said even he got a call. So far, everyone is saying they don't know anything, but I'm scared. I don't know, I'm sorry. Just thought I'd update. Then OP added an update edit which says update to the update. So many people offered great advice that I'd never think of myself. I've been kind of heavily relying on my mum to guide me through this and keep me and my son afloat. I've also been given several things to read, which I am absolutely going to when I have some downtime. I appreciate every comment, from extremely helpful to well wishes, and even the ones questioning the validity of this. To be honest, and it's a horrible cliche, but if it wasn't happening to me, I probably wouldn't jump to believing it either. Sometimes I let my emotions get the best of me and I end up sounding either very clinical in my typing or very unnecessarily dramatic. So I get the mistrust. My update last night was written late. I was exhausted, but I wanted to let people from my original post know. I took their advice and got out of there. My emotions have been so conflicting and chaotic. I'm surprised I was able to sound coherent, let alone like a teenager writing fanfic. I wish this was a fanfic. I could feel safe again. My mum has been an absolute angel, and I've shown her some of your comments, complimenting her, and she definitely deserves it. Never once did she make me feel that I couldn't completely be honest with her. She's reopened her house to me, even though I moved out years ago. She's really kept the ball rolling on everything with her organizational skills. She made a list, and yesterday we followed that list to the letter. When I wanted to put stuff off, she gently reminded me of what could happen if I paused. X could find me, hurt my son, or anyone helping to protect me. You are all very right, and I'm ashamed to say that I didn't realize just how much support I have and what a tremendous family I have. A couple of people mentioned to be careful if X finds out where I am, and my mum and brothers already had a plan for me. They called it round robining. If X found me at my mum's, I'd flee to my eldest brother. If he finds me at my eldest brother, I'd temporarily stay with my younger brother. Really, I appreciate you all commenting that I'm doing things right and quick and how impressive it is. But that's not my doing at all. That's all on my family. They're the extraordinary ones. There goes my fanfic cliches again, going above and beyond for me and my son. Some of the comments questioned my validity, remarked that it was odd that I immediately went to Reddit to see what to do or how to feel. You are all right that it is unusual, but not for me. I grew up when LiveJournal was a big thing. Writing helps me organize my thoughts, and I figured this community would help me understand, and I was right. Another thing I want to address is X's sudden change. I'm now wondering what to do for that. I don't want him in my life still, but some of you mentioned a brain tumor or a psychotic break, so I'm worried. I sent X's mother and father a message this morning saying I broke off the engagement and left, but both messages are still unread. I don't know what to say to them. In regards to X's health, will they be mad for daring to say this might be a breakdown? Will they actually take him to get tests ran? And if they even tried, would he willingly go? I don't know. I guess I need a little more advice about how to broach that. There's more to address, and I even had a consultation with a lawyer today, but I can go into that another time. I'm still processing everything. It still doesn't feel real. It feels like a badly written teenage fanfic, to be honest. I don't know, sorry for the rambling again, guys. I just wanted to let you know I'm taking notes from your helpful suggestions, and that I'm not ignoring you guys. My mother took my son for ice cream and let me stay behind, which I decided to hop on Reddit and check on everything. One last thing though, the awards. I'm truly humbled and grateful for them. Some of them I had to click on to see what it meant, and they're all so sweet. I'm endlessly thankful for the awards and your comments and your messages. Thank you. And updates. When my ex was served his papers, he did not take it well. I'd already blocked him on everything, but he took a picture of his paper and posted it on Facebook with a message to me and my son. A mutual friend saw it, and it contained my personal information and screenshot it to let me know. After taking advice, I called the police to see if it was a break in the ex parte. They made an incident report and told me I could pick it up the next day at the police station. They didn't arrest him. My mother had already procured me a great lawyer. A shark, which is what we need, in her own words. I told my lawyer about the screenshot, and he immediately put in both his appearance on my behalf and a motion for contempt of court for breaking the ex parte and threatening me and my son. Our original official court date isn't until next week, but the judge got us in early to deal with the screenshot. X showed up without a lawyer, and I showed up with only my lawyer. Due to COVID, no extra people in the courtroom. I really wanted my mum there with me, but my lawyer, instead of sitting on the bench at the sides, reserved for lawyers, sat by me. Kept himself between me and my ex at all times. A bailiff was there as well. I guess it's standard procedure to have one in court. My lawyer advised me to let him do all the talking, only answer questions when directed at me, and answer them succinctly as possible. Judge ended up giving X a warning, saying if he even mentions me or my son, he'd put him in jail for 24 hours for every incident until the official court date. X was also ordered to pay my legal fees for the emergency session. Friday, we got mine and my son's possessions out of the house, with massive help from friends and family. I knew X had to work Friday, and we arrived with a police officer just in case, an hour after X should have been at work. We left anything that he could claim as his or that we bought together, and I didn't care about. Most of the items went into 2 different storage units from the same place. The reason we chose these storage units is because they're gated and locked at night. The items me or my son would need for everyday use went to my mum's. Ex-parents have opened my messages now, but they still haven't responded. Lawyers said we're still on for official court date next week, and nobody has entered their appearance yet on behalf of X, so we're unsure if he has a lawyer or not. Lawyer told me it'd follow basically the same as the first hearing. It'd be a general hearing, with other people having filed their own ex partes for other people. No extras allowed in the room. Face mask required. It'd keep X away from me. No talking unless answering questions. Give succinct answers unless asked to clarify. He's confident that the ex partes will become permanent restraining orders, but he has warned me it's not like it is in the movies. The restraining orders will go for 1 year unless a box is marked saying to reissue it every year. I marked the box. He also said for every year, X has the ability to appeal it and would have to go to court all over again. For now, I'm just trying to keep my head above water. I'm kind of afraid because I've had people message me to tell me they've seen my post on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Some of you sleuths even found the state I live in. I'm just hoping X doesn't find any of those posts and put 2 and 2 together. I'm sorry I haven't responded to every comment or message and that this update is late. I've been trying to keep my son's life as normal as possible. It breaks my heart when he asks when we're going home or where Papa is. He just knows we're having a long sleepover with his Mimi. He's loving having pets around though. We weren't allowed to have animals at my house, so the fact that my mum has a dog and a couple of cats, he's excited. I've warned his daycare about his ex. My mum's family and friends are aware there's a serious situation, but not details. I don't know. It's been a long week. I'm exhausted. I keep looking over my shoulder and I've made my mum buy extra locks for the doors. Some have mentioned cameras for outside and my mum has already started pricing some. She said her sister, my aunt, has been trying to get her to ring for months, so this is the kick in the pants she needed. I'm sorry the update is late. Still feels surreal, but I have to just keep swimming. My son is obsessed with finding Nemo. And then OP did provide some screenshots that proof of their next plan on their Trazodone and also a court document which shows date with some redacted information as well. But I'm not going to show on here, but I will mention that the screenshot that was provided was like from the X that showed the court document with the information redacted, and like the caption over it said "living on borrowed time." Just shows how unhinged that guy is. Holy moly. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you for spending your time with me today, getting involved in the stories. Absolutely amazing. So thank you so much, and hopefully I will see you in the next one. Take care and much love.